What are the other issues that you want to put for today's show? We have already discussed Trump's ambition to attack Venezuela. We have discussed the 28-point plan for the Russia-Ukraine peace. Do you find any other things important to discuss today?
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanchan, and of course, a warm welcome to John Dalton in the studio and Norman Floyd Barnes, who joins us from Washington, D.C. I understand that Washington, D.C. and New York have an understanding. When I say that, I mean Zohran Mamdani had visited Donald Trump in the White House last Friday over the weekend. And what happened was, when they took on the media, one of the reporters asked Zohran whether he still thinks Donald Trump is a fascist. And then Donald Trump had interrupted Zohran Mamdani and said, it's okay, it's all right. You can say what you really want. And that's the beauty of democracy. And so that is one of those issues that I have picked out as of recent days inside America. I'm sure that John and both Norman can comment on this matter, because it did cause huge headlines in the United States.
Volodymyr Zelensky decided to retaliate with the support of NATO and United States, I mean Biden administration. Now administration change, Donald Trump has come, NATO has become totally silent. Volodymyr Zelensky was knocking door to door, and finally Trump has advised Volodymyr Zelensky to accept this plan, and some international media are gazing. This draft has been made in Kremlin. How do you assess?
Thank you for the question. I want to take all of our viewers and everyone else to an event that actually solidified this war for the long run. Is of course the Nord Stream pipeline that was blown up. I clearly remember ex-President Joe Biden claiming that this pipeline shall be blown up in some way or form. Even now, we still do not know who are the perpetrators of those that blew up this pipeline. It spanned from Russia all the way to Germany, and this pipeline used to carry the energy export of Russia into fulfilling the energy requirements for Europe in general. So that is just one of the issues, one of the circumstances of this war. And Donald Trump today had said that this 28-point peace plan is not his final offer. So there could be some kind of edits made in the coming days as of yet. But the administration of Donald Trump has not taken part in the G20 summit being held in Johannesburg, in which Europe, Canada, Japan had shown that they are concerned by US's proposed limitations on Ukrainian army. So the G20 is trying to understand, to pledge to work for a just, comprehensive peace in not only Ukraine, but as well as Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Palestine, and other war fronts that are occurring across the planet.
What are the likely risks to the Venezuelan civilians who are not included with this if such an operation proceeds by the Commander-in-Chief of United States, Donald J. Trump?
Well, at this moment, even last week, opposition leader in Venezuela had come out on major screens in Venezuela opposing Nicolas Maduro's government and regime, if you would like to call it. And not only so, as I was hearing John talk about various countries who have shown disregard for United States. One of those include, I think it was El Salvador, who wrote it into their constitution for not having a foreign country's base in their country. So that is just a strategic development in the region as of today. But the FAA had issued a warning about heightened military activity around Venezuela, advising airlines to exercise extreme caution over flying Venezuela airspace. So that is the latest update regarding this news. Of course, we may be able to see some kind of attack in this coming week. So of course, we will definitely bring it out to our viewers when such an event does take place.
Donald Trump's family has been benefited from 4 companies syndication. The companies are Russian company Gazprom, American company Halliburton, American arms dealer Lockheed Martin, and British reputed company British Petroleum, to allow them to go for offshore drilling. Do you really believe that a president in the seat in the White House can patron his family to go for such business, or are you confident that this is fake news?
Thanks for the question. Of course, the more we indulge in fossil fuel and the hunt for fossil fuels over the next 100 years, the more this climate issue is going to increase, as we know that it does harm the environment. And of course, the companies that you mentioned, it's quite a difficult question for me to answer, but of course, there is a certain reliance on one another when it comes to legislation or administration regards to the companies that you have mentioned, those who are actively taking part in activities which can quell and if not fuel climate change that the entire world seems to move out from. But of course, we know that the COP30 has been going on, and the entire idea is to promote a kind of change for humanity where one does not need to depend on fossil fuels for their daily adventures or daily activities.
You know that there is a development news. Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus pardoned 31 Ukrainian jailed in Belarus as part of wider efforts to improve ties with the West. Is it a signal Russia started its work to stop the war with Ukraine? This is a signal, as per I have been informed from French 24 television this morning.
Thanks for the question. Once again, back to the Ukraine issue and Russia issue. And Belarus, as you mentioned, is a country that sways towards the Russian side more than the European side, as far as I know. And allowing these Ukrainian prisoners to let go of because of this situation that we've seen in the last 3.5 years. Ukraine and Russia had numerous prisoner exchange programs courtesy of Turkey. So doing such an activity, or Belarus releasing these Ukrainian prisoners, is just a movement to show as a nation towards not only the United States that they are also cooperating in ending the war or coming to a conclusion.
That debt relief and climate funding will reach the developing world in a timely way, because last 30 years we don't see actually the massive development of debt relief and funding for the climate victim countries like Bangladesh.
Thank you for the question. Of course, this time around, we know that we have been talking about the COP30 from earlier on this month. There has been an incident regarding to a fire in one of the pavilions. Of course, it was brought under control, but some participants had suffered from smoke inhalation. But back to the issue that you raised regarding Bangladesh, there has been an adaptation of a financial boost. They come to, delegates have agreed to a triple climate adaptation funding, more money to help countries deal with climate change impact. So that very statement puts Bangladesh in the radar. We are impacted almost if climate change was the soul, but we are also impacted by hurricanes, by earthquakes, by flooding, overpopulation, overcrowding. These are just the tip of the iceberg when I come to talk about climate change. But of course, COP30 will definitely try to address these issues, as leaders from all around the world are coming to understand that whether this meeting can provide enough funding or funding for places that have been affected the most as a result of climate change. UN Secretary Antonio Guterres says that it is a moral failure for not sticking to the 1.5 degree centigrade goal. And these are the latest updates from COP30 itself.
How do you see this advice from JICA, ADB, IDB, World Bank, IMF, and also IFC, and some development partners as well? But why government is not even thinking, even putting it on the discussion table? Why?
Thank you for the question. As John was saying about the decentralization, we believe that decentralization is quite so important when it comes to Dhaka city. The overcrowdingness has caused traffic woes, it has caused grievances amongst people. There has been instances where even if you call an ambulance, it will not arrive on time. So these are where society is fracturing as of recent. And what we know is, if Dhaka is not decentralized, if you don't have a fine line between removing the people of Dhaka and the judiciary, or if not even considering having a different capital other than Dhaka, it will of course increase pressure on Dhaka, and the daily life activities that a person can have inside the capital city is going to be affected on massive scales. There has been a study as of recent that we are losing work hours as a result of the congestion that Dhaka faces almost on a daily basis. So these are the important economic facts we must also factor in. We are losing out money due to this congestion inside Dhaka city. Now, whether we are going to keep the city corporations responsible, or whether we are going to keep the Iron Throne or the person sitting on the Iron Throne responsible, is a matter of public opinion. We need to understand that every human that lives in Dhaka city is affected by this, whether it be a street vendor, if not entrepreneurs alike. Everyone is affected.